Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of The World is Our Oyster. I'm John Atkin and here with my son Will Atkin, and we're exploring the world around us, hence The World is Our Oyster. And Norwalk is one of the oyster capitals of Long Island Sound, so we felt it was an appropriate title. Tonight we're going to hit on a number of different subject matters and look at the contrast of how we each feel about these particular subject matters by our particular generations. So the first one we decided to start with, and I'll throw it over to Will for this, is the new social media platform that was just released by Mr. Zuckerberg of Meta and Facebook and Instagram fame. Do we really need another social media platform?
Now, I mean, you can add Threads to that list because I think the reason I don't know if anybody ever needs a social media platform, but basically the main appeal to a lot of people is that they can bring over their Instagram followers. So anybody that follows you on Instagram, you can just sign up for Threads, and those two are linked. So that's kind of like a nice jump start. It's like one of the most fastest adopted. It's one of the fastest adopted apps ever. And yeah, but I mean, like Zuckerberg has definitely a reputation of doing this, right? I actually looked up a couple of things. He's done a lot of things with Facebook and Meta that have stolen from other things, not to mention Facebook itself was stolen because at first it was MySpace, and then he said, oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to make Facebook. But some examples were, there was something, so basically Groupon came out, and this other website called Living Social, and basically Facebook came out with Facebook check-ins. Facebook Gifts is a copy of this gifting app called Karma. Instagram came out with Instagram Stories, which is just a direct copy of Snapchat and what Snapchat was doing. And now we have Threads, where Threads is just copying Twitter.
And we have TikTok, and we have this, and we have that. And, here's a prime example of generational differences. I mean, I know old people live and die on Facebook these days, and I'm guilty as charged. But on the other hand, I've looked at Instagram, I've looked at TikTok, I've looked at Twitter. I probably set accounts up in the past, but I don't know what to do with them. I don't understand why something is just there and then disappears on some of those platforms. Whatever I need to do in terms of sharing information or making a joke or showing the last city I visited, I put on Facebook. That's fine. So I don't, and I know I sound like a real old person, but I just don't understand the need for yet another platform that's basically doing the same thing in a different way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I understand where that sentiment comes from, and part of me thinks it as well. But there is a distinct thing that Twitter did, which was kind of, it gave you access to, back in the good old days of 2010, right? When we, had some semblance of what felt like, oh, the president can say something and, people don't have to lob a billion different, opinions at it. Like that Twitter was kind of a place where it was a sounding board where most people were, where like breaking news, even though you saw it on Facebook, it was still a screenshot of a Twitter post, right? And we saw that up until recently, until probably about a year ago when Musk bought Twitter. But prior to that, Twitter was a place where, you had conversations, you had discords about things that felt serious. And then there's an element of Twitter that Elon actually took away that a lot of people are upset about, and it's that blue check mark. And the blue check mark was important because it told you that account you were looking at was a real journalistic account. I mean, you can put that in quotations because, like, you assumed it was credible.
100 million people with check marks. How credible is that?
Eventually, yes, it did get to a point where it was overdone. But now you've completely taken away the power of the check mark because now you just pay for it.
Yeah.
So, but prior to that,
but if people are going to post misinformation on Twitter or on Thread, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever they want. It
Threads.
doesn't matter if you have a check mark or not. So,
It's threads,
um,
by the way.
what did I say?
Thread. It's plural. There's
Oh,
multiple
Threads. Okay. All right. Well, it's the world is our oyster, not your oyster either. So I hear you have the All-Star game is on the night that we're recording this. I hear you have a special take on the All-Star game.
Well, I don't know how special it is, but it is a take, and it's just me longing for a pastime in baseball, which I think a lot of when people talk about baseball, it's lamenting for a past time. I miss when they used to wear the regular season jerseys in the game. The last couple it almost I didn't realize how much it would affect me until I watched it, and I was like, "This is what is this?" It's like some weird exhibition game now. The whole fun to me was to be able to see all these different uniforms on the field at the same time.
Well, now you're talking like an old person.
Well,
I agree with you. I think that they should still wear their old uniforms. I remember watching the game last year or whenever they first started it. And first of all, the All-Star game has just become unwatchable in my opinion. But now it's just so hyped with these fancy uniforms and more marketing and et cetera, et cetera. So I do agree. There should be.
it wasn't watchable anyways. Like I never watched. I
Yeah.
probably haven't watched more than 2 or 3 innings of it, but the fun of it was that I got to go watch, okay, the NL's away this year. I get to see all this like plethora of like it was almost like a fun uniform watch as well,
Yeah.
and they've taken that away from us.
And then, of course, our one of our favorite Mets, Pete Alonso, was in the home run derby this year and got knocked out. So
he ran into a guy that he had 41 home runs in 3 minutes or 4 minutes. So
crazy.
That was tough, but whatever.
Well, speaking of sports, MSG is the major funder for this new arena called the Sphere, I guess, in
The MSG Sphere.
Yeah, the MSG Sphere, over a $2 billion project.
I got 3.44 billion, but yeah,
whatever. I mean, it's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
Something like 140,000 speakers instead of talking about surround sound, instead of 180 speakers, and on the outside it's lit and can do almost anything. One of the ironies I found in reading one of the articles is that people in the area were complaining that it was too bright and there's too much light. And, airline pilots will tell you can see the brightness of Las Vegas when you fly over it. That's how bright the city is without the Sphere. So now all of a sudden it's an 18,000 seat arena with the largest sphere ever built. I guess the technology has got to be totally fascinating. And they're going to use it for, sports and mostly concerts, from what I understand.
Over a million LED screens on the outside. All of a sudden, we're turning into stats people. But I thought it was so cool. It's to me every once in a while I get wowed by technology. I don't know what it was, because it's kind of cooled off now. I just realized it's a big globe filled with LED lights and a James Dolan joint. So hard to really like that. But
I'd rather he took that 2 million or 2 billion and put it into the Knicks, but that's another story.
Exactly. I agree. And why is MSG's is MSG not a New York brand? Why is it?
He can invest in whatever he wants.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like Madison Square Garden is, I don't know, whatever. Point is, so I heard also not only are pilots being distracted, but just a general person driving by in a car is like, why is the moon landed on Earth? Because they can just change this thing into the moon. And then also one more quick fact about this that is a little fun. U2 has a residency there.
Right.
So they kind of, I'm not the biggest U2 guy, but I guess they're cool.
Well, it's only for a couple of months, but they're opening up the arena and the tickets are starting at $500, and that's not even through a scalper. My point with the airline pilots is that Las Vegas is such a bright city and is so lit already that it can be seen from 35,000 feet. And then you'll have people driving along in the city itself complaining that it's too bright. I mean, how much brighter can you get than it already is?
Right,
So
right,
just
right.
just amazing. But I doubt this is the future of arenas to come. It's sort of an interesting little tidbit of news that came across this week.
And just one more thing to say about that, not to talk about that too much, but the inside looks kind of cool too, because it's like the spherical shape is like exists on the inside of the structure as well when you're in the thing. So it's kind of a um, the LED wraps around you on your head, so it's going to create some like interesting, almost like IMAX like feel
Hmm.
to it,
Yeah,
which is
I haven't seen any images of the inside, just the outside.
yeah, I just saw some renderings. It's not even open yet. It opens in September 23. So as of right now, it's not open. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think Apple TV makes a lot of good content. I mean, a lot of stuff I watch on there is really good. And Seth Rogen's in a new show called Platonic that you turned me on to. And I've seen a couple episodes. I like it. I think he fits the role well. I think he plays it well. And him and his co-star Rose Byrne, I guess is how
Yeah,
you say it.
yeah.
She's I think their chemistry is great. I believe that they were former friends. A lot of times that's hard to pull off, but they seem to have the chemistry off the bat. And um, I've only seen 2 episodes. You said you saw the
You
whole.
mean former friends in real life?
Yeah, well, in the story,
Oh, and the
they're
story is
former
she's
friends.
married to a somebody, and uh, she and Seth Rogen were good friends before she got married, and have refriended each other, but it's platonic.
Right.
And I won't do any spoilers because I'm about 8 episodes in, but one can imagine, what might happen when there's a triangle like that.
Oh,
So it,
interesting. So I was not expect. I was ignorant to that.
Oh, so spoilers. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, but you're right. At Apple TV, I mean, with Ted Lasso starting it, and Ted Lasso coming to an end this season, I think they're generating some interesting shows. And I like Seth Rogen, so I stumbled over this, and um, I think as of this taping of ours, it's still in weekly release. It's not binge worthy, not able to binge yet to the end. I guess you can binge the first 8 episodes or whatever it is, but take a look. Let us know what you think. We both, and this one's crossing generations. We both like it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I did like it a lot.
So you were kind of flipping through news feeds the other day, and you sent over to
I don't know
me.
if you can call this a news feed because it's from 7 years ago, but go, go.
Oh, really? The BBC one?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But it's still it's cool though. I like it. It's a cool
It's good.
thing. Yeah.
It's more current now than it was 7 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, Will send me over a video from the Beebs, as the Brits call it, from
Justin
BBC.
Bieber? Oh.
It's evidently 7 years old, and I think I'll have Will explain the content, but I think um, the need for this process is more than ever, more than it was 7 years ago. You want to
Yeah.
explain it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So it's dubbed the safest place on Earth. It's in on one of these Antarctic islands, or I couldn't. It was BBC, so they were speaking in an English accent. They jumbled some words on me, but so no. But point is that it's this vault that they've created that is no matter what happens on our Earth as far as global warming goes or any sort of disaster, this is a place on Earth that is not only protected by a ton of ice, but it's also like 100 something meters over sea level. So even sea level rises will not damage this vault that holds all the seeds on Earth. Oh well, they're trying to that's their ultimate goal, but they get deliveries 3 times a year, and it's designed. The vault is designed to survive any sort of natural disaster. And the point of it is that they want to keep seeds that have genetic variations to them. So if there's a drought or a flood, they've actually used this in Syria, where there's been a lot of droughts and they weren't able to get crops. So what they do is they fly the seeds in, and they're able to plant them and have a crop yield that year, which is super important in undeveloped countries.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was a really cool, interesting thing that I didn't know existed until I stumbled upon it. So.
Yeah, it's up in Norway, and it's amazing. You go, it's as Will said, it's, I don't know, a couple of 100 meters above sea level. So even if in the worst disaster sea level rise, it'll still protect all the seeds. So if we have uh, areas of the world that are wiped out and all the seeds from that area are wiped out, they can start all over again, because the seeds of each of these are available. The amazing thing is the temperature in the tunnel that they store all these seeds in is, I think they said, minus 18 degrees centigrade, which is roughly, I guess, 0 degrees Fahrenheit. But they've discovered that this temperature will protect the seeds, and they're sort of, I guess, in hibernation. And then if they need them, as Will pointed out, in certain countries where there have been droughts in Colombia, Mexico, Syria, that they can be pulled out of this vault and used. And just an amazing thing, and really sort of figuring out the need to have these seeds available as global warming is progressing, and we're having more and more issues with the environment and growing seasons, etc.
And the in this video too, it talked about how genetic variation is super important, which I thought was super interesting. So not only like something like, for example, if we had lost out on a specific type of seed or a specific crop, but it's healthier for us humans to survive as a species if you have genetic variations to things. So I don't know. I just thought that genetic variation was cool too, because I thought it was like, oh no, there's no more. They ran out of squash seeds, so I thought it was very simple, but it's actually the idea that the genetic variation is there, and that's super important.
Yeah.
This is such a random thing to say, but what I thought was interesting too, when I started watching this video, the first thing that came to my brain was I thought they were going to go down and be storing servers under, because that's the last time I heard about bunkers being used like that. To protect data now. They actually put data and servers in similar bunkers. It's because apparently it's like the safest place on Earth, but that's off topic and doesn't matter. So, but we were going to do a top 5, as we do. That's our thing, right? We end our show with a top 5. So do we want to,
why don't we do it on our top 5 seeds that we'd save?
There you go.
That way,
that's what yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I thought that might be the topic. And so seeds are obviously either fruit or vegetables.
Yeah.
So what
or anything that grows, right?
Well, yeah, but
I hope I picked all seeds.
You wouldn't. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
but the seeds grow to whatever vegetable or fruit you mentioned.
Right. But it can be something. Yeah. Okay. Go. Yeah, that's fine. And do you want to go first?
Sure.
You go first. You seem ready. I have to get my list. Sorry.
Oh, you haven't put it together yet? Well, my favorite is my favorites are a mix of fruit and vegetable seeds that I'd want to pull out of there if all of my, if I needed. I don't know what we're saying. We're just saying the top 5 seeds that we'd save.
I think the best way to say it is, if we could save 5 seeds,
right?
What would you save?
Right. And I'm going to start off by saying there's one I would not save, and that's spinach.
I knew it. I knew it.
All right. So I'm doing in reverse order. The number 5 seed that I'd save is zucchini.
All right.
Number 4, romaine lettuce. Number 3, cantaloupe. Number 2, tomatoes, sort of a fruit and a vegetable. And the number 1 seed that I'd save, because they're very tasty, not always sweet, but not sour. And now with, refrigerated transportation available year round, are blueberries. I just love a little bowl of blueberries in the morning or in the evening as a good snack.
Just by itself, or do you add anything to the
No,
blueberries?
just by my. Sometimes for breakfast, I might stir them in some yogurt, but otherwise, it's just blueberries. How about you?
So don't be upset with me, but I picked 3 OLIs, which
Wow.
OLI stands for outside looking in.
Okay.
So I have 3 that I wish I could take, but I'm not going to. This is number 8 because I got 3 OLIs. Number 8 is coca seeds because I need coffee. 7 would be artichokes. I love artichokes and artichoke hearts. Okra would save. So those are my 3 OLIs. Number 6 would be okra. All
Okay.
right. Now my official top 5. I took more of a what I could do with this approach. So
Okay.
number 5 would be wheat.
Okay.
Number 4, beans or seeds to grow beans.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. And number 1, my top seed that I would not part with would be corn
Yeah.
because I need corn.
Well, it's interesting. So you picked 2, corn and wheat, that you could make other products with, which I didn't think about, except for zucchini. But if I didn't have wheat, I wouldn't be able to make zucchini bread, for example. So
Exactly. So throw
yeah,
some wheat in there next time if you think
yeah.
of it.
All right. The next time in 7 years, when we come back around to do the seed storage story,
Exactly.
I'll
Because
add wheat,
is that what our cycle is? 7 years.
or maybe I can do it as an OLI.
There you go.
Now
Exactly.
that I know what an OLI is.
You can throw an OLI in there with wheat if you want.
Well, anyway, I hope you had fun listening to us
I did.
banter on about different subject matters. If the specific subject matters interested you, comment down below. If it was boring as hell, comment down below. Or if you have ideas about other things we could talk about, let us know. We're planning on doing this as a weekly thing and just seeing if there are generational differences in things, whether it's seeds or social media or television shows or sports teams or whatever it happens to be.
Yep.
So stay in touch.
And we want to keep this open. Feel free to like and subscribe as well. And if you do comment below, we'll definitely be responsive in that, if you have a good idea and we like it, we'll, take it as a topic or anything like that. So,
yeah.
But thanks for listening. It's been fun.
Thanks for listening, and let's go Mets. All-Star break is over.
That's
got a whole second half.
All right. Good night, Dad.
Good night, Will.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.